Do you get calls from the IRS saying that you owe taxes, or get calls saying that you've won the Jamaican lottery? Calls that say that there's something wrong with your computer and remote tech support can fix that? Well, all those things are scams, and I'm here at the AARP Foundation Fraud Fighter Call Center, where our volunteers, like our friend Dennis here, fight scams. And I'm going to ask you, Dennis, what does the call center do, and how do you help people fight fraud?
Well, Bruce, I work at the Fraud Fighter Call Center, as you say, and the Fraud Fighter Call Center is really a resource. It's a place where victims of fraud or any kinds of scams against seniors can call us. Also, we get a lot of calls too from families of victims as well too, who are looking for input, looking for advice on what to do about scams.
And is the call center staffed entirely by volunteers?
It is by volunteers such as myself. I'm a retired person myself, and I volunteer here once a week.
So the call center will call out to warn potential victims of scams. We also have a number where people can call in,
yes,
and get information or talk about a scam and let us know what's going on, and we'll give that number in just a minute. But what kind of scams are hot right now? What are the phones bringing in terms of scams?
Probably one of the top scams right now is the grandparent scam.
And what is the grandparent scam for people who don't know?
The grandparent scam is a scam that's perpetrated against seniors and grandparents, and actually they work the telephones and they'll call a grandparent, a grandmother, or a grandfather and claim to be the grandchild of that person, or they may say they're an official who has the grandkid in jail. And they're calling, and what they're trying to do is extort money. And unfortunately, it calls late at night, usually by telephone. They will contact a senior, a grandparent, and claim that their grandchild has suddenly been in an accident perhaps, or they've been arrested for a DWI, a drunken while driving, or perhaps that they have been arrested on drug violations.
And what does the caller want you as the grandparent to do?
They want money. This is really basically it. It's quite sophisticated. What they will do is the grandchild will actually get on the phone and saying they have been held in jail. They're very afraid. They're concerned because for their safety, and that they may have had their nose broken, or they have been in cold cells all night. That's why it doesn't sound like them. Oftentimes the grandparents will start to get suspicious and say, well, it doesn't sound like you. And says, oh, well, grandma or grandpa, they've held me all night and they broke my nose. I think I've got pneumonia, and there's some scary people here and you need to help me.
And so they don't have the actual grandchild there. I mean, this is not your grandchild calling. Who is calling?
Actually, these are scammers who do this for a living. They're very sophisticated predators is the only way to say it. These people are predators. They know a lot about, and they get a lot of information about the grandchild. Either they buy the information or they steal it, or a lot of times they'll get it off the internet and social media. And so they know a lot about it. And then it gets more sophisticated than that, because they may put someone on who claims to be an official, a prosecuting attorney or an arresting officer or a district attorney, and they'll say, your grandchild's in serious trouble. And there's bail money due, there's court fees due, but this could all go away if you'll just give us a payment.
So this is to pay for hospital bills, bail, accident charges that they need to get out of trouble somehow.
Bruce, that's a good point. I talked to somebody last week in Southern California. She was defrauded out of $40,000, and it was in 2 steps.
Oh my goodness.
They'll keep going back and back and back. As I said, they're predators. They're like sharks. They'll keep going back until 2 things happen. They're discovered, or the money runs out after they've stolen all the money they can get. And they might say it's bail money. It starts with bail money. Then they'll call you back and say, well, there are attorney's fees. And then there's court costs. And then there's also, as you say, ambulance charges and other things, that it can go on as long as the victim will allow it.
And so is $40,000, is that a lot for the grandparent scam? I mean, is that
That's kind of the high end, although I have to tell you that it varies. It can be hundreds of dollars.
Up front, usually on the first call.
Several $1,000s. That's the normal. It's usually in a couple $1,000 range.
You know, I think the average grandparent would say that I would recognize my grandchild's voice. I would know that it's not them. How do these scammers convince you as a grandparent that this is in fact your grandchild in trouble?
Well, they sound authentic, first of all. And you have to realize also they're preying on the fears of the grandparent. If somebody called me in the middle of the night and said they had my granddaughter in jail, believe me, I would listen. And the thing is, they sound authentic, they have a lot of information that the grandparent thinks, well, only my granddaughter or grandson would know that information, not realizing that where these people got it off the internet many times, and it's been on social media. So there's that. The other part is they sound authoritative because they're actually talking to, they think, an authority. And of course, people are a little intimidated by people in authority who claim that, hey, your grandkid's in jail and it's not getting out until you pay the money.
And so if you get a call like this, if you're a grandparent and the phone rings and see someone who claims to be your grandchild or claims to be a hospital worker or claims to be a bail bondsman in this whole area, what is your advice as to what to say and how to handle it?
I think the first thing you need to do is be calm, because these people are trying to panic you. They're actually appealing to your fears because they think that you are going to believe that your grandchild's in danger and that you need to make a fast decision. So those two elements are trying to put pressure on you to make an irrational decision quickly and give away information or money. So you first of all have to stay calm. Second thing is tell the scammers that give me your number, I'll call you back, I'm going to call the family and check this out. Many times that's the end of it right there, and the scammers will hang up. If people would just stop there and say, you know what, I'm going to call my family right now and I'll get back to you.
Yeah, I mean, couldn't you just call the grandchild or call the parents?
You should, actually, and that's what you should do. And actually follow through on that. So when you're off the phone, call your family and find out if it is indeed true that the grandchild's out of town or in jail or in jeopardy.
But I've often heard that the scammers will say, if they are claiming to be the grandchild, please don't call my parents. I don't want them to know that I'm in jail, that I, have gotten into trouble. What is your advice if the so-called grandchild would say that to you?
That's a key element. They always say that, actually, because what they want to do is isolate you. They don't want you calling anyone. So actually, they're appealing to the grandparents saying, please don't tell mom and dad. You know how they are. They'll be really mad at me. I'll get in big trouble. Please keep this between us. So what they're trying to do is cut off that avenue where you would check it out. They do that up front right away.
So you would say in terms of this month that the grandparent scam is pretty hot. It's coming in to the call center here quite a bit.
We get calls daily about this scam. I have to tell you how bad this thing is nationally. Actually, the National Council on Aging said this is one of the top 10 scams in the United States right now, perpetrated against seniors. The other thing is the Federal Trade Commission says since 2010, 40,000 cases have been reported. And we think that's kind of conservative because a lot of people are really ashamed or don't want to admit that they did it and don't report it.
Now, if somebody wants to report this fraud to the call center or is in this situation, what is the phone number that they can call?
Well, the telephone number, and thanks for asking, is 1-800-646-2283. And I should tell you, though, that you don't have to be an AARP member to call us, to avail yourself of our services. Everybody, we want to hear from anybody who has been a victim, or if your family member has been a victim, please call us. We want to try and help you and give you advice.
And you and the call center are also in touch with law enforcement, like the Attorney General or the FBI? I mean, do you pass these reports on?
What we do is we actually are a clearinghouse. We will be a resource. If you give us a call and say that you have been scammed somehow, we will sit and, first of all, listen to your story and try and explore the avenues that you need to take. So want to make sure that you have called the right people, as you say, law enforcement, or maybe federal agencies like the Federal Trade Commission or the FBI, and we have those numbers ready to be able to provide to the people so we can help them along.
Great, great. Well, thank you very much, Dennis. I appreciate all the efforts that you do. We're actually located in Seattle, Washington. There's also a call center in Denver, Colorado that does much the same thing.
Yes.
But we are here in South Seattle. We have volunteers. There aren't any right here because it's lunchtime. But Dennis was kind enough to give up his lunch hour to give us an insight. So once again, that's 1-800-646-2288. We want to hear from you about scams. And this is a program of the AARP Foundation, and it's also associated with the AARP Fraud Watch Network. So, Dennis, thank you very much for talking with us today.
Thank you, Bruce.
And we'll have another edition, probably a new scam next month.
There are a lot of them out there, unfortunately, but yes, anytime. Thank you.